Hey guys, what's up? So today I'm going to be recording the second part to what if Naruto was a full Uzumaki and he rebuilt the Whirlpool village. So real quick before we start guys, I forgot to explain what the Whirlpool village was and in the previous part to this what if. So for those of you who don't know, the Whirlpool village or Uzushio Gakure is the place where the Uzumaki clan used to live. So and also I've seen the response to my first video and it was unbelievable guys. Like I never expected that so many of you would watch it, and I already have like 18 subscribers, so that's another plus. So I'm really impressed about that, guys. And I read the comments on my first video, and a lot of you guys were asking about the ships, right? So, and not a lot, a couple of you guys, but you know what I mean. So, yeah, I already had a ship in mind, but I want to know from you guys. Would you like me to give Naruto only one girl, or would you like me to give him like an entire harem? Like, I'm gonna like, do you want me to just like throw in every girl that comes along the way into Naruto's harem and give him the good life? You know what I mean? So, quickly comment down in the comment section and let me know what kind of story you would prefer, and we'd vote it out basically. So now let's get back to the video, and we're going to recap the last part. So in the last part we discussed about how Naruto was a full Uzumaki and how he was kicked out of the village. So he came across the Whirlpool village when he was looking for shelter, and after snooping around he found a huge library, and he trained and gained knowledge until he was roughly Genin level. So, and while all this was happening, Hiruzen and Danzo were like shitting their pants, man. Like, they had their Anbu searching for Naruto, and Jiraiya had his spy network and everything. Jiraiya was bloody ticked in the last part, like, if you didn't watch. So, and by the way, if you didn't watch the last part, I would recommend that you do, because this is a continuation, and obviously, the story would, not make sense if you don't watch the last part. So, yeah, so let's start off with this part, and we're gonna start off back at Konoha, right? So while Naruto was doing his training, Hiruzen had set up a Leaf Anbu a unit to look for Naruto, and of course Danzo set up his own Root Anbu to look for Naruto as well. Like everything else he does, he did this right under the nose of the third Hokage. I mean, like, the third Hokage was a weak ass leader, man. Like, so much bullshit happens right under his nose, and he never takes decisive actions. You know what I mean? So, like, he was too afraid to disappoint his friend Danzo, like friend in air quotes. So he gave him equal power to the Hokage, man. Like, and what's the point of there being a Hokage? Like, if Danzo's just gonna have the same power, right? Like, so much crap happened under the third Hokage. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Konoha got involved in the Third Great Ninja War. The Uchiha clan was killed off. Naruto was treated like crap. The Uzumaki clan died out. Like, a whole bunch of other things happened. Like, oh my god, he was like the worst Hokage, man. Like, I mean, he was strong, I guess, but like when it came to leadership and being a Kage, he sucked balls. Like, he was terrible. Anyways, let's get back to the what if. Uh, so both Hiruzen and Danzo sent their Anbu to try and find Naruto, but they were only able to get Naruto sent uh, until the outside of the village gate, because um, the villagers, they basically like picked Naruto up and like stuffed him into the bag and chucked him into the river. So he didn't really touch anything on the way there. So his scent didn't really stick anywhere. And Hiruzen and Danzo were both like dejected because it's like they were like shitting their pants. Uh, like although Danzo was like being Danzo, he didn't really show it that much. But then they were both like really feeling this loss. Danzo more because they lost the QB, but then Hiruzen because he lost the legacy of the fourth Hokage and stuff. And so Jiraiya was then called and told about the situation, and he was like hella mad when he found out when what happened to his godson. He was like yelling left, right, and center about this. Like, you guys know Jiraiya, right? So he then gathered his spies and he searched all over the five great nations for Naruto for an entire year, but like it was all in vain, man. Like there was a barrier seal on the village. Like people who stumbled upon it wouldn't be able to see it unless they had Uzumaki blood, like a significant amount of that. So yeah, so let's come back to Naruto and see what he's doing, right? So Naruto, he decided to learn the time seal before anything else, like a smart choice, like if like because if he learned the time seal and he trained in the time seal, like he could master a whole lot of shit like in a very short time, man. Like uh and then like yeah, that's why he decided to start learning the time seal. But then it's a really complex jutsu, but then Naruto has the advantage of being a full Uzumaki and being innately good with sealing. So he mastered the time seal within a month. But they drain a lot of chakra. Like to make a time seal, it drains so much chakra. Like the more difference in the rate at which time passes, the more the chakra that is used, and also the chakra drain increases like exponentially as the area covered by the seal is larger, right? Like, for example, people with average amounts of chakra, like Sakura, like uh, those people who don't really come from a clan, so they would only be able to cover an area the size of like the Ichiraku ramen shop with a weak time seal, like the one that only makes like 2 days inside the time seal equal to 1 day outside, and that would still be an advantage. But then like you can't really do much with that. But Naruto, right? He's like an absolute monster when it came to chakra reserves, as we saw in the last video. So he sealed an area like the size of half of Konoha. Like he sealed that with a time seal for which like 2 months outside would be a whole year inside. So like there's a whole like whole lot of time he had to master stuff. So now he like trained and trained and trained inside the time seal until he like became a god level shinobi, man. Like he became a master at sealing jutsu, even the adamantine chakra chains that his mother used, to such an extent that he was able to shoot them from his hands, feet, and mouth, and he could even make them appear from the ground by channeling them underground through his feet. Like he was hella powerful with those, man. Like he also mastered all five chakra natures plus yin release, meaning genjutsu. So yeah, Naruto has genjutsu in this because in the original canon, it said that people who were proficient in genjutsu, like they have to be really intelligent, like to be proficient in genjutsu. And in this, I'm making Naruto intelligent because, like you gotta be OP, right? So, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, Naruto mastered genjutsu to such an extent that it could even put a Sharingan user under genjutsu, but he wasn't at a level where he could use visual genjutsu on a Mangekyo Sharingan user or a Rinnegan user. Like, because come on, man, that would just be like broken. Like, if Naruto could learn genjutsu like that, like, uh, it shouldn't be happening because like Sharingan users are like the best set with genjutsu and stuff, right? So I'm just gonna have him put like a regular Sharingan user under a genjutsu. Like that's his skill level. And so he tried to learn auditory genjutsu to counter this problem, like the problem of not being able to put strong dojutsu users under a genjutsu. But then he realized that it would just take too long to manifest, and the opponent would just realize they were being put in a genjutsu. So he basically abandoned this idea because it was like practically useless. So Yeah, he basically mastered all the jutsu in the scroll of sealing and his parents' jutsu scrolls except the Reaper Death Seal. So yeah, he mastered the Rasengan, he mastered the Flying Raijin, he mastered all of that. So yeah, he was broken at this point, and he obviously did not want to try the Reaper Death Seal until he had someone to use it on, and obviously his shadow clone would use it and instead of Naruto because why would we want Naruto to die, right? So yeah, speaking of his shadow clones, right? He could make way more of those than in canon, as he has so much more chakra reserves. So in canon, I think his limit was like uh 2,000 shadow clones, if I'm not wrong, and he could do like 5 times that, like 10,000 shadow clones in this version, in this what if, right? So yeah, and I said before, he mastered the Flying Raijin, that Minato, who was a red Flash instead of the yellow Flash in this What If, was proficient in, and he mastered it up to his father's level, right? So he also learned how to wield his mother's sword by using her chakra to guide his instincts, right? Like right, just as she said in the scroll. So with each slice, right, whenever the sword hit something, his chakra would like drain heavily. But then, Naruto has a lot of chakra, right? Like, if for example Sakura wielded the sword, she would only be able to slash stuff like 5 times until she would like die from chakra exhaustion, right? But Naruto can like fight with it properly, like a regular sword. Like he could make a 100 slashes until the chakra drain got to him, like, and he became like a formidable kenjutsu user, like even mastering his mother's special move with the sword, which is the red whirlpool, right? So it he basically like violently spins around with his sword, like passing chakra through it, and it kind of looks like Neji's palm rotation, but instead of being blue, it's red, and it's a hell of a lot more violent, man. Like crescents of orange chakra just like thrust out from the rotation, and they incinerate whatever they come into contact with. Like, uh, so now you may have noticed that I've been comparing Naruto with Sakura a lot, like the chakra levels and stuff. But then you may be like, why isn't this guy comparing Naruto to Sakura, right? Well, that's kind of because like Sakura is just one of those average ninja who doesn't have a lot of chakra, and the only reason why she became like a formidable kunoichi at the end was because of the Byakugo seal. And like, yeah, by the way, I do believe that Sakura is a pretty strong kunoichi. Like, she just pales in comparison to her two teammates in the original canon. So yeah, even though Roni Jutsu is a Chano Jutsu, she's still pretty strong. And yeah, it's not like she comes from the mighty Haruno clan, like she isn't even from a clan, man. Like, and by the way, I was just joking about the mighty Haruno clan, if you couldn't tell. So yeah, so let's just get back to the what if. And Naruto basically uses the time seal to master just one more jutsu, which is to seal any knowledge possessed by anyone into his own mind. So this was useful mostly for dead and unconscious people, as it took 12 hours of continuous focus to steal the knowledge of one person. And yeah, so Naruto, uh, you know, he wanted to like gain this knowledge, right? Like, so he was like, well, I mean, no disrespect to my clansmen who are resting here, but I need the knowledge that they possess. So he went and then he used Earth Release to, dig up the dead Uzumaki members from their graves. And yeah, this Naruto seems kind of dark, but then uh, he just like wanted to become strong, stronger. And he said, "So I'm sorry for disturbing your rest, everyone, but I will return you to rest in peace after I finish this. I promise." So he's still like he still got that light in him, like he's not completely dark and stuff, but then he didn't want to waste resources. You know what I mean? So, yeah, he performed the jutsu in all the bodies, and after he was done, he was like overwhelmed with the information. Like, he witnessed hundreds of people's lives, and he saw how each of them lived and died. So, This kind of reinforced Naruto's resentment towards the Leaf, as he saw so many of his clansmen die in the war between Uzushio Gakure and the great elemental nations. So yeah, Naruto was like triggered, man. Like this was like uh, terrible. And but then one advantage of this was that it helped Naruto understand the cycle of life, and he developed like a much wiser mindset when it came to death and stuff. So this also made Naruto pretty ruthless. Like I don't know why, but then like whenever I see a Naruto what if, I just like love it when Naruto has like that killer intent, like it's not like me being sadist or anything like that, but then it's just like it makes him such a more like cool-headed shinobi and stuff. So I'm gonna make him like that in this what if. So yeah, he wouldn't hesitate to kill someone who tries to fight him with malicious intent, right? So that's how he is in this what if. So uh, and by the way, guys, Naruto was like 6 by the time all of this happened, and as 1 year in the time chamber is 2 months in the real world, and Naruto trained for 7 years in the time chamber. So uh, yeah, the house he was living in was inside the time chamber, and he just went out for 5 minutes every day to get like rations and stuff. And he was able to do this so fast because of his flying Raijin. So basically, in the time seal, Naruto trained for 16 hours a day. Uh, took a total of like 2 hours to eat and fetch food and do the hygiene stuff and all that. And he slept for 8 hours. Sorry, for 6 hours. So yeah, that was his schedule basically. And by the time he was 6, Naruto's like arguably the strongest shinobi on the planet, man. Like he's broken. So and now he decides to like start rebuilding his village because he got pretty strong. So then like he became hella strong, man. Like who am I kidding? So he decided that like he was strong enough to become the Kage of his village. So yeah, and yeah, so let's jump back to the Hidden Leaf now. So young would-be shinobi were starting to enter the academy, and little did they know that a certain someone is like a god tier shinobi, like their age is a god tier shinobi without going to the academy, right? So yeah, they don't know that. And Hinata asked like, how come Naruto-kun isn't here? As she was walking to the academy. So, yeah, by the way, in this what if, in this timeline, Hinata still meets Naruto as he saves her from the bullies. And this is before he's kicked out. So she has a little crush on him, you know what I mean? So, yeah. And Naruto does way better against the bullies. Like, he had better strength and speed, and he was able to beat up Hinata's bullies. So, anyways, back to the what if, and yeah, so Sakura replies to Hinata, like, the typical Sakura. He's like, yeah, you should be happy that the demon isn't here, Sakura said, reprimanding her. So, uh, yeah, and then Ino replied to her, and Ino was a bit more sympathetic than Sakura. She was like, Sakura, even though he's a demon, he's our age. Like, don't you feel bad for him? Ino asked. And Sakura's like typical Sakura fashion, like, ha, no way. Now that the demon is gone, we can all live in peace, she said. So, yeah, Sasuke was like walking behind them at this whole time, and he was shocked that people could be so cruel. So, he had a few run-ins with Naruto before he was kicked out, and he did think Naruto was quite strange, so he rarely ever interacted with him. But Sakura was being, yeah, Sakura was being the demon in Sasuke's eyes. So, uh, yeah, now we have a flashback of Sasuke, and he was asking Itachi why people are so mean to Naruto. And keep in mind that Itachi had still not gone rogue yet, as he massacred the Uchiha clan when Sasuke was around 8, and he was like 13. So, yeah, and so, anyways, Itachi was like, Sasuke, that boy is not a demon like everyone thinks he is. Naruto is the savior of our village. He keeps the nine tails inside him so that it cannot roam free and attack the village. It upsets me seeing the villagers treat him so badly. Be kind to him whenever you meet him. We are all alive thanks to Naruto. Why can't you do something about that? You can do anything, big brother, Sasuke said. And Itachi chuckled, like he's pretty happy that his little brother, little bro has such a good impression on him. And he was like, "Hey, I'm happy you think so highly of me, Sasuke, but due to certain circumstances, I don't think I can step out of the low profile I'm maintaining in this village," he said, referring to the rising tensions between the Leaf and Uchiha clan. "Why? What circumstances?" Sasuke asked. And then Itachi is like, being Itachi, and he gives Sasuke like one of his signature forehead taps, like that, like with the index and middle finger like straight on his forehead. And then he was like, "Sorry, Sasuke, let's talk about this some other time." And this is where the flashback ends. So like Sasuke, like seeing Sakura, like he grew an instant dislike for her, and then and also like a few others who are like mouthing Naruto, such as like Kiba and a couple of other like fodder students who didn't even like become Genin. So um uh yeah, he preferred to hang around like cool people who like kind of did their own thing, like Shikamaru, Shino, Choji, and Ino and Hinata. So yeah, I know this is not Sasuke's personality at all, like in canon, but don't forget this is before the Uchiha clan massacre. So Sasuke is like more open to like social interaction and stuff. He wasn't like emo dude and that kind of stuff. So yeah, and but he still had a drive to become strong like his older brother, so that his parents could acknowledge him. So as usual, Sasuke was at the top of the class when it came to skill as a shinobi, and Sakura was at the top when it came to all the bullshit like the theoretical stuff, uh, because she's Sakura. And yeah, but instead of Naruto being dead last in class, Kiba was the one who was struggling with that position because, in the original series, Naruto was like the only person dumber than Kiba in the academy, which really like, makes me pretty upset about that. But anyways, so let's get back to Naruto. Nine Tails. Naruto called as he meditated into his mindscape to contact Kurama. So a massive crimson eye opened and looked at Naruto's in his mindscape. And yeah, Naruto tried to talk to the QB. So he was like, "I'm sorry for not trying to talk to you before. I wanted to train and get stronger," Naruto said. And Kurama sighed. "What is it, brat?" he asked. "Straight to the point, huh? I really like that about you," Naruto said. This took Kurama by surprise a little bit, but he quickly regained composure. So, yeah, and then he was like, "Then why don't you get to the point as well and tell me what you want?" And like, he was pretty annoyed because like Naruto was like, praising Kurama for getting to the point, but then he was kind of being a bit like, beating around the bush here. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and Naruto chuckled like he was like, "Sorry about that. But before that, do you have a name I can call you by? I feel a little uncomfortable calling you Nine Tails," Naruto said. Now, yeah, I know Naruto wouldn't think about this in canon, but then like he has a bit more like um, intelligence here, so like he's like able to empathize with Kurama better. So yeah, he asked Kurama that in this what if. So yeah, and Kurama was like really taken aback now, and he was like, "I've never been asked that. Only everyone only ever came to me for power," he said. Uh, yeah, well, calling you 90 years is kind of like calling me redhead. I mean, I would be cool with it the first few times, but it would get annoying pretty fast. Like, it would kind of be like making it would kind of like make me start losing my sense of identity. You know what I'm saying? Naruto said. So yeah, so Naruto like came up with a pretty good analogy there. So yeah, and Kurama was like, "Yeah, this kid can really empathize, man." Like, and he was like, "Fine, brat. I will tell you my name. It is Kurama," he said. And Naruto, like, he was careful to pronounce his name. He was like, "All right, Kurama," and he was like trying to make sure he pronounced it right. And he was like, "I have a request for you." And Kurama was like, "Oh, great, here it comes." and he was like sighing angrily at this, and he was like, "What do you want?" And then Naruto was like, "Is there any way I can like you could use your chakra to change my voice? I want to like hide my identity for a bit." And then Kurama was surprised, like he was like, "You don't want my chakra?" And he was like, I mean, like for power." And Naruto was like, "I mean, it's not like I don't want it, but I just kind of like want to save my favor so the need arrives, you know." And then Kurama was like, "You're a pretty wise brat. Anyways, I can allow you to alter your voice by sending a little bit of my chakra to your throat. Would you like to try that?" And Naruto was like, "Of course, thank you, Kurama." And he like bowed to Kurama and left his mindscape. Now Kurama was like flipping about his cage in joy, like he was like Naruto was like so polite to him, and he loved it. Like he was like, that kid has some excellent manners for someone who was kicked out of a great shinobi village. And he was like, no, it was because he wasn't raised in one of those arrogant villages that he's able to be respectful. And he like kind of smiled slightly to himself, like this is kind of like foreshadowing how Kurama like becomes friends with Naruto pretty soon. So yeah, get ready for that. And yeah, so Naruto speaks with his new voice. It just sounds like that of a seasoned shinobi who like knows what he's talking about, basically, right? And it only has like a little bit of QB chakra mixed into it. So yeah, his charisma, like it improves by like hundredfold. So yeah, Naruto's pretty happy with the way he sounds, and he's like transformed, like waving a hand seal, and then he grew taller, his hair grew longer, and his hair color changed from red to black. So he basically just like wanted to uh, conceal his identity for a little bit, because like if he has that red hair, like people would instantly know he's an Uzumaki, and if like Konoha spies kind of found him, like he would just be a little boy, they would figure out it's Naruto. So yeah, he wanted to transform and change his voice and stuff. So and he also another thing he did was he put a mask on his face, like like an Anbu kind of mask. He found one in the library while he was studying, and there's like a box of masks, and he just picked one up. And due to Naruto's chakra levels, he was like able to maintain this transformation for as long as he wanted. Like it wouldn't like stop, it wouldn't revert back to Naruto even if he was like knocked unconscious, like because that transformation jutsu like barely scratches the surface of his chakra. So even if he's unconscious, he'd be able to power enough chakra to the transformation to not lose his transformation. Like it's basically like Tsunade, like how she managed to make herself look younger for such a prolonged period of time. So he was you know he did the same thing, like. And you guys must be wondering, like, why the hell is Naruto like transforming and stuff when he's going to stay in the village? Well, it's because he's not going to stay in the village. He needs to rebuild the village. That's his goal. So for that, what does he need? He needs money. So, and he needs a lot of money. And this is why like Naruto became a bounty hunter. So he had so much skill that in most cases he was able to bring back several rogue ninja back to their home countries alive. So this made him much more money than what he would make by killing them. And the ones that he didn't bring alive, they were like wanted dead in the first place. They were like super evils, shinobi and stuff, right? But obviously they're none of the Akatsuki members, because like the plot has to get interesting somewhere, right? So yeah, the Akatsuki members are left alive. So uh, the ones that he couldn't bring alive, he just killed them without hesitating. And as he like continued living this life, shinobi villages like they began to take notice of Naruto's skill. Like uh, they started giving him A and even S rank missions for their countries. So yeah, Naruto is like him helping those villages, like it really paid off because like A and S rank missions, they give a lot of money, man. Like they're they can like make you rich. So yeah, within a year, Naruto managed to get enough money to start building his village. So he got some supplies from the Hidden Mist village. Like, why the Hidden Mist village? Um, you might ask me like why he chose the Hidden Mist village. So that's kind of because that's the most convenient place for him. He did not want to draw attention to his village by buying supplies from any other of the great nations, like any of the other great nations. So uh, because those nations were like well off and they had like functioning you know spy systems and stuff, like if people began to track him, it would be a huge problem. So he knew that the Mizukage of the Hidden Mist, who is the fourth Mizukage, Yagura. So he's obviously under a genjutsu because of Tobi, who we know is Obito. So um, he knew that he wasn't in the right state of mind for some reason, which we know, but he doesn't. And he knew that the best option was to buy from this unstable nation that was full of poverty, because this would get him goods at a cheap price. So and that's because people are willing to sell goods at really low prices in order to make ends meet, uh, because like they're just desperate. So Naruto, like, he felt really bad seeing this, like, even though he chose the Mist Village because of this situation, he like swore to himself that he would make these people's lives better once he had his village up and running, and he had the resources. So yeah, Naruto got back to the Whirlpool village and he built a large house for himself to live in, and a few clan compounds for people who would eventually come to his village, like with the help of his shadow clones. So, uh, yeah, but for that to happen, like, you need people in the village. Like, he can't just like live there with the shadow clones. So um he like utilizes shadow clone jutsu to like the fullest extent. Like, he made so many shadow clones and then he sent them to like every corner of the ninja world, and and then he was looking for like civilians or shinobi who were displaced and treated unfairly and stuff like that. So yeah, and then like the shadow clones that he sent out, they transformed into like random looking people, because like if they saw a whole bunch of Naruto's if people saw a whole bunch of Naruto's leaving the Whirlpool village, they would be pretty alarmed, and it would draw a lot of attention. So uh, he transformed the shadow clones into like random looking people, and they just walked away from the Whirlpool village in batches, so that like they don't draw too much attention. So yeah, and then they went into like they went all over the shinobi world, and then they found a lot of people. So like after a month, all of his shadow clones came back with a lot of people, and most of them were regular civilians who were just displaced due to war and disaster. But some of them, Naruto, he was able to like see the potential in them, like to become great shinobis that would like help the village. So among these people were a family of 5 Uchihas, a family of 3 Uzumakis, uh, a pale-skinned, white-haired boy, a boy with a very feminine appearance, and a man carrying a massive sword, and a few more people. So yeah, I know the massacre of the Uchiha clan didn't happen yet, and these aren't any survivors of the Uchiha clan. They are just like um, they were just like located in another village because of a few Uchihas going rogue and starting a family in another village. So these Uchihas are descendants of those people. So, and about the other people, I'm going to have to leave you off here, and I'm going to have to tell you about them in the next part of this what if, which will be tomorrow. And Sorry to leave you hanging, but then I gotta leave you guys with a cliffhanger, you know. So yeah, about the ships. Comment down whether you want Naruto to have only one woman or like an entire harem. So just comment your preference down, and I will see who like what choice is more popular. And anything else you'd like to comment about the video, please feel free to comment that. And if you have any new ideas for what ifs, feel free to comment that. And like, share and subscribe and stuff. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.